Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another day of esports racing here on RaceRoom. We're here for the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup once again. Our final qualification evening is about to get itself underway. My name is Conry Maddock. I'll be your English commentator for this evening. And well, this race, this season has been balls to the wall excitement for the first couple of rounds that we've got under our belts. But now we get to the end of the qualification procedure. This is the last chance for these drivers to qualify themselves into the final race of the season at the Nordschleife. And don't forget, that's going to be a LAN live event as well. But before we delve into the details, let's take a look at what happened last time out at Imola. Race number 3 of the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup is about to get itself underway here at Imola. I'm stoked for this one. I hope you are too at home as we go green here in Italy. Steph Kramer's getting off the line well. Mosen bogged down a little bit from pole position. He'll lose a lot of ground here on the way down in towards turn number 1. Kramer's trying to get himself up into the race lead. He has to go late on the brakes in towards turn number 1, but Mosen's able to respond down the inside. Mosen's overcommitted to it though, as Kramer's tries to find his way around driver's left-hand side, but he can't find any way through there. A slightly defensive line in towards Aqua Minerale. Someone spun at the back. That's Lucas Vollering. Lucas Vollering has had a spin on the exit of Aqua Minerale. Yet more fighting in towards turn 1. This is the battle for P14 behind Daniel Parvan. Of course, the Romanian trying to hold everyone behind him as Gearhammer gets the runner speed off the corner. That was a bit of an interesting one there for Parvan, losing that position. Just have to deal with it. Look at the run that Farkas has got over Philip Pau now. So Philip Pau not deciding to go defensive down in towards turn number 1. Farkas just sends it down the inside. Important to get the car stopped though. Another mistake from the Israeli driver allows the German an opportunity coming into these final couple of corners of the lap. And well, Carton slings it down the inside. Rosen getting all sorts of out of shape, and Geisler takes that move all day long. Opportunistic. And Alex Mosen will score maximum points here in race number 1 of the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup here at Imola. Of course, event number 3, the first race of it, goes Alex Mosen's way. Marius Zabda will start on the inside of the front row. And off and away we go for race number 2 of the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup here at Imola. It was a great start from pole position from Marius Zabda. He'll be able to lead down in towards turn number 1. Pierre Daniel in P2 as fast as possible on the way down in towards the Tour of Actors. There's the big send down the inside for Peter Daniel for the race lead. Zabda's able to get back underneath him for the final turn though. Trying to hold back on Zabda. Zabda will try to send it back down the inside for the race lead. Zabda back up into P1. Farkas now in P3, looking to drive his right-hand side. Again, nothing can be done there. Oh, it's going to be a big send again from Pierre Daniel. He did that move just a lap ago, and Zabda has been punished for it once again. Side by side, coming across the pit straight here. This is crazy battling for P1 here. Zabda back up into the race lead to respond to everything that's been thrown at him and maintain that race lead. Oh no, is that Ben Farkas? Oh no, it's a big cluster, big instant. Everyone has to stack up at the very front of the field due to the car spun in the middle of the circuit. Everyone continues to be stacked up. And we've got 14 minutes. No! Oh no, Philip Pau from the race lead. Philip Pau, no, you can't bottle it like that, my friend. We say, and well, Rosen going towards the inside. It allows Farkas to have an opportunity. The long way around, big bounce up over the curb for the Hungarian. So after a completely and utterly chaotic second race here in the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup at Imola, it is Pierre Daniel, the driver from the Czech Republic, coming across the line to win race 2 of the day. That was a small little look at what happened last time out, round number 3 of the championship at Imola. It was chaotic pretty much from start to finish in both races then. Well, we'll have to see if we get to see it here today as well. Nogaro, by the way, race circuit in the southwestern part of France. Drivers out there just getting their qualifying started for the moment. It'll give us a good opportunity to just take you through how to negotiate this circuit. So here we are then, going to go on board with one of our drivers as they take us around this circuit. Very fast run in towards turn number 1. It comes up on you pretty much instantly after the race start. Flick it in through turn number 2. Of course, winding it down now through this first sector. These corners come thick and fast. You really have to be on the ball for the first couple before you wind yourself into this long right-hander of turn 4. It's the double droite if you're French, and my French pronunciation is very much not up to par in that situation. Swinging away out of turn 5, though, this one leads through a very slight right-hander of turn 6, and then you get yourself onto the back straight here at Nogaro. Slipstreaming would be the key here. On the way down onto the brakes in towards turn number 7, the right-hand hairpin, which is going to be your main overtaking opportunity here today, followed up by a very fast turn 8. Then you've got to slam on the anchors once again. Get yourself through turn number 9. You can take the single apex through there, or you can just hug the inside all the way around. It's whatever you please through there, flicking its way through the left-hander underneath the Dunlop Bridge then as we head towards the final sector of this lap. This is turn 12. That we're heading through right now in towards turn number 13. Track out as much as you dare with regards to the gravel on the left-hand side before you get yourself through into the final S's section. This is turn 14 and 15. The tyre is really going to be punished here today at Nogaro. We'll have to see how the drivers deal with that. That was a small look around this Nogaro circuit then in southwest France. As drivers, well, they're starting to set themselves their first initial times here in qualifying. And, well, the state of play with regards to this final qualification round is that if you finish in top 4 in points at the end of this evening, the points you score from race 1, points you score from race 2. If your points are the top 4 with regards to those particular standings, then you are automatically qualified to get yourself through into the final race of the season. However, there is also a different way to get yourself through to that final race of the season, which is score in the top 16 points of everyone else in all races so far this season. So we're going to get a lot of qualifiers out today. We're going to get top 4, we're going to get top 16 from the points order as well to make up our starting grid for that final round at the Nordschleife. Of course, in terms of those drivers that the top 16 that are going to be racing here today, of course, they still have to qualify through the leaderboard procedure. That was the case for all of the races so far this season. Those drivers that are able to score points and are inside the top 16 at the moment. You see Sebastian Ree, you got Marius Zabda, Lucas Vollering, Nico Schönel, you got Mikael Lapnik, you got Rokas de B as well, and you have names like Salo, Holoch, Julius Gomez, Courtois, Schmenk, Rocco, Jehammer, Nagy also getting himself involved, Graceman, and Birkeland as well. Those drivers that we're looking at that might potentially be able to get themselves through at the end of today. But of course, you know, if you get yourself a particularly good point score and this is your first race of the season, potentially there might be a mathematical way to get yourself in to that final race of the season. I mean, if you score a good point finish today anyway, you might be in the top 4 in points just from these 2 races anyway. So that's will be the route that you take to try and get yourself into that final round of the season. But enough of me talking about the actual qualification process in towards that final round of the season. More about the racing that we're going to have here today. Of course, we have this one and only qualifying session going on right now. That will set the grid for our first race here today. Race number 1 going to get itself started at about 1936 Central European time. Of course, that's with daylight savings included as well. It'll be 20-minute events before we get ourselves race number 2, another 20 minutes. However, we'll have top 10 reverse grids in this situation. So reverse grids are always fun. They always add a little bit of spice to the proceedings here today. And, well, we'll see if any drivers get themselves either caught up by it or are able to benefit a huge amount from that sort of situation. But here we go then, as we'll delve into the back end of qualifying here. Here's Sebastian Rue, who's we've been watching over the last couple of moments. He's just coming towards the end of another times lap here. It is personal best through Sector 1 and Sector 2 at the moment, but as he gets his run to the line, it's another personal best sector. However, it does not improve his overall position in the standings for the moment. It is Jens Fielder that currently leads the way. This lap is not looking any better, which is why he took the tow back towards pit lane. Nico Cernal is driver in second place at the moment. Can he get himself onto pole position? That's what he's going to be looking at because, well, he's only 0.003 of a second behind his fellow German there. So P1, P2 pretty much inseparable at this stage. Cernal's going to get his way the run through the final corner across the line. He will be able to get this lap time in by the time the session is done, so we'll have to see his progress there. There's Rasmus Salo, he's also on the lap, the Finnish driver, and we also, right behind him actually, get to see Sebastian Reed, but of course he's on an out lap at the moment, so that one will not count. Gomez also starting his one of his final timed laps as well, the Brazilian. Further down at the order, P5. We've got P6, Fredrik Neuhammer as well. Not a great first sector, so not looking to have a big improvement here on the lap, if any improvement whatsoever. But let's have a look back, because we got Nico Cernal, and he's got himself a purple Sector 1. So that's a very, very good start to the final lap for Cernal. And now through Sector 2, just winding his way through there. He's got no traffic ahead of him to contend with. Also means no slipstream down the back straight, but that's not too big of an issue here with regards to a qualifying lap. I think you would prefer to be in your own little bit of real estate and not to have anyone distracting you ahead. So coming through towards the exit of the first sector, that's another purple lap time for Nico Cernal. So if he's able to hook up this final sector, this is going to be looking like a very, very positive time for Cernal. Might be able to get him onto pole position as he swings his way through the S's for the final time in his session. Of course, the qualification results will show early, but has Nico Cernal, as he heads his way across the line, been able to go pole position? Yes, he has. So Nico Cernal on pole. And, well, there's nothing else that anyone else can do to try and respond to that one. Gomez has already headed his way across the line. Fredrik Neuhammer, P6, is about as high as he is going to make it here in qualifying. Nick Schmenk there in P7. With Soren Jäger and Royce Rocco, with Lucas Vollering rounding out the top 10 on the starting grid for race number 1. Outside the top 10, you have Van Roon, you have Holoch, you have Zabda with De Bie, we've got Montgomery there, the driver from Jersey, we've got Christoph Nagy there from Hungary, and you see other names towards the very bottom of the order, really struggling in that qualifying session to get anything done. Let's hope that the race goes a little bit better for those drivers back there. So we will get ourselves transferred over into the race session. Drivers will be taking themselves to the starting grid in just a handful of moments. Of course, it is a standing start here in this series, so unlike the two other major competitions here on RaceRoom, so it's a little bit of a difference here in this one, and it's a very, very short run indeed down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. So keep your eyes peeled for multiple instances of side-by-side through the first sector. It might take a while for them to try and sort out their differences as a result. We've got ourselves a maximum of 25 seconds before we go racing here at Nogaro for the final qualification round of the season of the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup. I'm very thankful that you're able to join us. My name is Connery Maddock. I'll be your commentator for this evening. The drivers, well, they know what to do as well, as we'll get ourselves started here in just a couple of moments. Round number 4 of the championship about to get itself underway here from Nogaro. And we are off and away and heading down in towards turn number 1 now. Nico Schernel getting himself a good start from pole position. Jens Fielder trying to fend off Rasmus Salo through turn number 1 as well. Sebastian Ree and Pedro Gomez are fighting it out side by side behind, and they've both made contact. Sebastian Ree is involved in that. He doesn't drop down through the field, but there's a lot of carnage back here. Oh my word, it seems like everyone wants to get themselves a piece of the contact. There was Marcel Holoch back there. Pedro Gomez was involved in the contact. I don't think it was with Sebastian Ree, though. It must have been with Salo, as Gomez parked it up against the Armco barrier. Says he is done in this race. A chaotic start here in the first race of the evening at Nogaro. The very front of the field has been able to get themselves away from that relatively unscathed. Everything happened behind them. Sebastian Ree lost about a second and all that, but he was able to come out of that one relatively unscathed, which is fantastic for his race, fantastic for his points charge in the top 16 with regards to the championship. He's being followed quite closely, though, by Frederick Gerhammer in that 4th place at the moment. But you can see all that big incident has still very much stacked up everyone else behind. Someone's going for the send all the way around the outside. That was Christoph Nagy getting all sorts of out of shape, but straight into another side-by-side battle between himself and Dennis Shimi there. Shimi looking for the inside, can't quite get things done through the S's section as that leads onto the pit straight. You got quite a few drivers out of position now that are trying to work their way back up through the field. Of course, Holoch dropped down to P22. He started way further up the field. Same with Rasmus Salo, further behind him, P23 as well. They need to try and get the recovery drive going for the 18 minutes that this race has to run. And, well, to hope they get themselves a relatively decent starting position for race number 2. Because remember, we do not have another qualification session, as we get to see 3 wide coming off the corner here. Crazy stuff in the bottom ends, well, just outside of the top 10. Shimi ahead of that one with Passer and Montgomery, 3rd in line in that instance. So thankfully, they'll be able to get themselves line astern now, because you don't often see 3 wide here at this circuit. Get ourselves a reminder of what's going on back here, because Christoph Nagy coming under attack by Owen Grandjew here. Owen heading his way, well, he's looking for the inside through the right-hander towards the back end of the lap, but can't quite get anything done coming through there. It can be very difficult sometimes to try and get that overlap, to try and make yourself known and get yourself by another driver. Ooh, someone's gone for a big off-track excursion back there. Not entirely sure who that was, and, well, it will be David Kulas. So David has had a big problem there. He has damage to the front of his car as well. Has now lost the position to Marcel Holoch. So Kulas having major problems, and he'll be carrying that damage for the rest of the event. Of course, no scheduled stop or anything, so you can't really get all that sorted. Even if you did really have a scheduled stop, it'd still take the time to do it. But let's have a bit of a reminder of the front of the field here. Nico Schernel, of course, he's well, got a good start, was able to pull away, keep himself out of trouble, and now he has a 2-second gap back to Jens Fielder, and then it's another 1.2 seconds back to Sebastian Ree. So it's a German P1 through 3 at the moment, and, well, very few of them coming under threat. Scherhammer's trying his best as the Swedish driver in P4 to lock onto the back of Sebastian Ree, but he's not finding too much success for the moment. Having a look further back through the fields, though, here's Timon Grassman being followed relatively closely by James Montgomery here. Again, we've seen drivers get themselves into this sort of position, but has really struggled to try and make it side by side at any point over the course of the lap. Let's see if the man from Jersey is able to have any different luck here. Heading his way across the start-finish line, starting another lap here at Nogaro, and, well, of course, turn 1 is not an overtaking opportunity. You just have to sit behind and just wait for your opportunity to come, it feels like, at this circuit. Montgomery certainly in prime position if Grassman makes any sort of mistake, and there might be a little bit of an opening on the inside here. You see Montgomery's tempted to try and stick his nose in where it perhaps doesn't belong, tries to scare the driver out of line through the left-hander at turn number 5. Now pedal to the metal through turn 6 on this long back straight in towards turn number 7, and look at the draft that Montgomery has. He might have an opportunity here in towards on the brakes in towards turn 7. The inside is indeed open. He can sling it down and in. And does Grassman have anything to try and defend? He'll try and get the speed off the corner with the cutback as Montgomery's still continuing to fight this one out door to door in towards turn number 9 now. The inside line will give Montgomery the advantage here. And Nagy, out of all of this, is trying to capitalize, and that's 2 positions lost now by Taiwan Grassman for through the same sequence of corners. And that's what you get when you caught offline here. Let's have a look further forwards though, because there's more action going on, and Soren Jager all sorts of problems and has to take the escape route across the grass. He was involved in a battle between Rokas de Bie and Frank van Roon for P6 and back. Jager has really come out the worst in all of that. Now he has Nick Schmeck all over the back of him, so that's never the situation you want to be in. A little bit of content there. Remember, of course, the race stewards will be looking at things after the race. They don't tend to make out any actions during it. So if there's any instance over the course of this one, it will be looked at the stewards by the stewards after the event, and the penalties will be applied after as well. So we won't be getting to see any of those in session unless the RaceRoom system deems it necessary. So that's the situation there. A lot of support, well, a lot of support from Leonard in our RaceRoom YouTube chat. Saying go get them Fielder. I'm afraid Fielder is sort of kind of still stuck about 2 seconds behind Cernal at the moment, so we'll have to hope that the second half of the race, that's for your sake and for his sake at least, that he's able to gain some ground in the latter portions of the race. Here comes Van Roon then, trying to get the overtake done on Lucas de Bie. De Bie holding strong for the moment in that 6th place. Keeping the Dutch, well, the fellow Dutch driver behind him. It's 2 Dutch drivers for P6 and 7 at the moment between De Bie and Van Roon. Looking further behind, though, you've got Timon Grassman, who is now under threat once again, this time by Rasmus Salo. Of course, we saw Salo start a little bit further towards the top of the order today, but unfortunately he got himself involved in an opening lap incident which sent him way down the field. Same with Marcel Holock in P21 as well. But Salo has gotten the recovery drive going a little bit better, you have to argue at this stage. We're still in the first half of the race here, so still plenty of time for both Salo and Holock to get themselves positions gained here. Salo looking for the inside there. Grassman coming under a huge amount of pressure at this stage of the race. Of course, couldn't deal with the pressure that Montgomery and Nagy were piling onto the back of him. In fact, something that happened to Nagy sent him a little bit further down the order, and in fact, not even a little bit further down the order, all the way down the order to P26 as Rasmus Salo looks to try and get things done here on Grassman. As Grassman, well, he was unsuccessful at defending in towards turn 7 last time around. Someone spun ahead, though. That is... who is that indeed? It's Philip Kilman. So Philip Kilman has had a major problem. He has to take the tow back towards the pit lane. And now we go back to this battle between Frank van Roon and De Bie. We've got Soren Jager, who's caught up all of that time, by the way. We saw Jager have a big problem, skip across one of the big sweepers through, I think, turn number 1 and 2. Would have gotten a slowdown penalty as a result of that, but still able to gain so much time over the rest of these. We'll have to try and keep track of everything here. We've got Royce Rocco and Stennis Simi having a little bit of a battle on the way through the first sector here. Rocco, of course, one of those drivers that is relatively comfortable in terms of points. Gets a little bit of contact from behind from Pessa, though. Keeps good hold of the car as we get towards a halfway stage. And you see Royce Rocco, the front of the car has seen better days. It's certainly not how that Mercedes AMG GT3 machine rolled off the factory floor. So Rocco's going to be struggling with that. Of course, the full damage simulation is on for this event. Soren Jager continuing to try and, well, both play offense and defense. He's sandwiched in the middle between two other cars here. Nick Schmeck has been able to get underneath him somewhat here, coming up through towards turn number 9, but again, Trying to get the under that, gets underneath the Schmenk, but again, just doesn't gain the ground required. He needs quite a sizable overlap here at Nogaro to really be able to do anything. And in that instance, Nick Schmenk has been relatively unsuccessful. But inside the final 10 minutes of this race, still very much things can, well, have the room to change, shall we say. Says they feel bad for Nagy. Well, here he is down in P23 is Christoph Nagy. So for the Absolute Motorsports Racing team, it hasn't been a good day for that particular driver. Of course, we'll get a second chance in race number 2, but unless he's able to gain a good handful of positions here in race 1, he will not have a good starting position for race 2. So things just get worse and worse from there. Primary battle that we have for, well, a more advanced place at the moment is this one between P2 and P3, between Jens Fielder and Sebastian Ries. So it's the two T3 Motorsports teammates that may look to do battle here in the latter portions of the race. Of course, the last thing you want to do is have contact or take out your teammate. That is the last thing on anyone's list. I've seen it happen though, so they do have to be very, very careful. Between the two of them. Of course, there is Cyril at the very front of the field and, well, just running away from everyone, basically, at this point. So he's got himself 3.3 seconds back to Jens Fielder now. So very, very healthy advantage for Cyril at the very front as we get ourselves a little bit of a fight further back. This is to be, and Schmenk once again. Schmenk continuing to try and press forwards in this race. Got himself inside the top 10 now, which results in a pretty good starting position actually for race 2, considering the top 10 reverse grid. Another little look to the inside. This is how drivers apply pressure to each other. Just get up close and personal, not necessarily threatening the overtake, but just make yourself big in the mirrors of the guy ahead of you, and well, get inside their heads and play the psychological game that way. Ourselves, of course, that continuing battle for P2 between Jens Fielder and Sebastian Ries, the two T3 Motorsports teammates. Just a handful of tenths of a second between each other at this moment in time, and well, they are starting to run out of time a little bit here. 7 minutes left to go. Still a good handful of laps, yes, but this is where crunch time tends to start, and if you're going to hand back in P3, you might not even get that P2 at the end of the day, unless Sebastian Ries is just making the calculations in his head and just thinking, well, one, is it conducive to my race to be overtaking my teammate at this stage? Are we just going to sit here, finish P2, P3, see what we can do in the second race to try and score more points, try and get yourself that easier route in terms of not worrying with the top 4 out of the 2 races here today, or get yourself inside the top 16 in the overall points at the end of the day? It is a little bit complex, I know, but that's just the system that we have to deal with over the course of this season. Once we get to that final race of the season, though, all bets are off. That's a completely different situation there. So points will be reset and some such coming into that one. So lots of excitement on the horizon for the final race of the season. We do have to get this one out of the way first, though. We've got the very end of this race, and then, of course, we have our second race of the day with the top 10 reverse grids, another 20-minute event. Then we can look forward to our final round of the season. These guys content to follow each other around the circuit for the moment. It will give us a little bit of time just to look at what's going on a little bit further behind, because things a little bit more competitive, a little bit closer in amongst the drivers down here. Passer was able to get past Shimi just a couple of moments ago. However, Shimi certainly hasn't let the French driver ahead of him run for the hills by any means. And of course, you got those drivers, Royce Rocco and James Montgomery, closing in from behind at the moment as well. So it might be a little bit of a flashpoint here for P12, or rather P11, and back as, oh no, Royce Rocco. Oh, that's an embarrassing one. Spin coming out of turn 5, and well, you'll drive all the way around the grass. I'm pretty sure the ground's on. Oh, someone else is off as well. That is Owen Grandjew. Owen Grandjew has had a problem as well, so the virtual drivers by TX3 machine has had more problems similar to Royce Rocco. So Rocco falling a little bit further down the order, same with Granu as well. He's currently stuck up behind Christoph Nagy, who's had his own problems over the course of this event as well. Back to this battle for P11. Ashimi, big move down the inside. It's instantly responded to, however, as Passer gets himself back through with the up and under. That's what happens when sometimes you get yourself an opponent sling his way down the inside, that they overcommit on the brakes, the gap opens up on the inside, and you can slide all the way back through. That's what Passer has done. Maybe we'll see another one of those from Dennis Shimi in short order. This is not the only battle going on out there on circuit. We still have the close little situation going on, the P2 and 3 between Jens Fielder and Sebastian Rie. But once that starts showing signs of life, I will point the cameras towards it. But right now, this battle for P11 and back is giving us a little bit more excitement. There's a big statement there from Dennis Shimi to go for that big send. And again, on the straight down in towards turn number 7, he might have an opportunity at it, moving towards the inside. Not the same commitment, though, as Passer comes across to try and block it off. And now Montgomery's all over the back of this one, trying to get himself involved as a third party in this one. So the two guys ahead of him fighting has allowed Montgomery to, well, claw in this gap and get himself stuck in. We are in the very dying moments of the race, though, just a handful of minutes to go. Could change for P11 and back. They're not fighting for reverse grip pole position, though. That's only down to P10. So if there was, this fight would be even more ferocious, but not so in this situation. Across the line, let's just give ourselves a little bit of an update. What's going on a little bit further ahead? There is Nico Schönel. That's your race leader. A very comfortable race leader, in fact, from the very start of the race, able to get away with all the chaos that was happening behind him. Jens Fielder, second place with Sebastian Rie close in tow. Those two are teammates from the same esports organization. So hopefully they won't have, well, too many problems trying to negotiate that position. Further back, you have this battle that we've been interested in for the past couple of laps. You have the battle for P11 between Passer, Shimi and Montgomery as well. Another big slipstream moment on the way in towards the next braking zone, but Shimi's not able to do anything this time around in towards turn number 7. He has to try and look somewhere else to try and get this pass done, but Passer has been covering off all the angles in a great defensive drive so far. As long as he keeps it on the grey stuff, keeps the car under control, I would certainly rate his chances to be able to hold his own here and hold on to that 11th place finish. Coming across the line then for those guys. Of course, we'll have to see where Nico Schönel heads his way through. Of course, we are expecting... actually, I'm not entirely sure whether it's going to be the last lap or not. I didn't quite see where Nico Schönel headed his way across the line last, whether or not we had enough time left on the clock or not. So I'll keep you updated with regards to that. Battle for P11 continuing to heat up as drivers take more alternate lines, I suppose, through that sector. And Passer preferring the late apex through the winding turn 4 and then in towards turn number 5. Feeding it through turn 6, and well, we'll have to see what happens here on the brakes in towards turn number 7. It might just be the last opportunity that these guys have to do battle. as Dennis Shimi, well, he's going to stay in line for now. We'll head ourselves to your race leader as he's heading his way through the last S's section, and the time is going to expire right now, and that should be the end of it. Nico Schönerl heads his way across the line to take the race win for the first race of the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup here at Nogaro. Of course, by far the race leader, in fact, by 4 seconds over Jens Fielder further back. That battle for P11 that we were watching, well, Passet does hold on, at least with 2 corners to go. Dennis Shimi, 12th place. We got James Montgomery in 13th, and well, there's nothing that Shimi can do here. Well, actually, he's going to make it a drag race up towards the start-finish line. I swear that was only about a 300th of a second gap as they headed their way across the line there. Shimi also almost getting himself P11 at the end of the first event. The rest of the runners heading their way through and across the line. Big missed opportunity for drivers such as Royce Rocco. We had David Koulas that had problems early on as well. Christoph Nagy, Grandjew had many problems. Holock got himself in that opening incident as well. Gomez towards the bottom of the order. Retirement from this event after starting inside that top 5. But let's have a look at the unofficial race results. You have Nico Schönerl with Jens Fielder and Sebastian Rie. Those are your top 3 drivers, all German. We have a Swede, Fredrik Sjöhammar, in P4 with Marius Abder P5. Frank van Roon in P6 with Sonjager P7 with Rokas Debris in P8. Nick Schmenk P9 and Jan Courtois in P10. Those outside the top 10, Fab Passer, we got Dennis Shimi, James Montgomery, Lucas Vollering, Rasmus Salo, Antoine Chacoset. We got Timon Grassman, we got Royce Rocco, Koulas and Nagy rounding out the top 20. And then down to P27, Owen Grandjew, Holock, Zans. We got Parkinson, Bjorklands and Gomez with Heeman. Our first retirement of the race, he did not finish. So we just have one more qualification race to go. Of course, those that finished at the front here in this one, well, they're going to carry that big points buffer on the way into this second race. Of course, 2 routes for you to qualify yourselves into the final race here today. Finish inside the top 4 in the points only from today. So just points from race 1 and race 2. There's also an alternate way to try and get yourself qualified, which is top 16 in the overall points of everyone else who has not qualified through the first method. So a little bit complicated, like I said, but don't worry, we will have a selection of drivers for the final round of the season decided at the end of today. Of course, pending steerage review from these final 2 events. Oh, we're just about to head in towards race number 2. Drivers taking themselves a little bit of a while to get themselves onto the starting grids. But we're about to get ourselves going then for the final qualification race of the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup. It is Jan Courtois from pole position, benefiting from the reverse grid with Nick Schmenk on that front row as well. We are racing for the final time here at Nogaro. Good start from Courtois from pole position. Schmenk is able to slot in second place as well. It's all a very calm affair in the front couple of positions with Frank van Roon in 4th place with Marius Zabter in 5th. No problems, at least no major problems in the front half of the field as there's a little bit of contact there. I think that was Zabter just getting into Frank van Roon just a little bit there, but he's able to keep it together. No spins in front of traffic this time around. Everyone has kept themselves going. As just as I say that, we have someone in the grass here. Not entirely sure who that is. There's someone off in the background as well. That is Alessandro Zanz that has had a big problem. Someone's going backwards down the circuit. That was the number 10 driver further back through the field. That's Rasmus Salo. So Salo again for the 2nd time in this event. First in race number 1, now in race number 2, having major issues on the start, has filed all the way towards the back of the field in P27. That is a pittance of points going to be scored today for Rasmus Salo. It was a big opportunity for him to get things done. We have to see whether he still qualifies to being in the top 16 at the end of the day in terms of the overall points, but these results certainly are not helping him as we head our way across into the final couple of corners of the lap. And, well, further forwards, we got ourselves, closest battle is between Marius Zabter and Frederick Gerhammer had a big look towards the inside there. Big swing through turn number 2 as well for Marius Zabda ahead. Courtois has been able to hold on to this race lead as well. He's extended the gap up to almost, well, it's half a second back to Nick Schmeck. So great stuff for the French driver in the race lead at the moment. Keeping calm. The last thing he needs in a situation such as getting reverse grid pole position is to completely and utterly panic and make a mistake on the first lap. So Courtois has not done that and has got himself a good time buffer back to Nick Schmeck for the moment. Of course, for those drivers that started P1, P2, well, Nico Snernl and Jens Fielder, well, Fielder has already given that position to Nico Snernl. So Snernl up in towards P number 8. Of course, both of these drivers started P9 and P10 as a result of the reverse grid here as well. So still a long road ahead for those guys, but as long as they get themselves inside of the realm of the top 5, they should have no problems whatsoever with regards to qualification into the final race of the season at Nordschleife in a couple of weeks' time. That will be a live event as well. I'll be down in the RaceRoom studio in Munich as well to give you some live coverage from there. You get to see my wonderful face in the my face is not wonderful, by the way. I will warn you. But the situation is that well, it's all on the cards. It's all to play for in that final round of the season as the points get themselves reset. So it's the top runner out of that final race of the season will be the championship winner. There are no ifs and buts about it. There's nothing to do with anything that has gone by previously. So it should be a very, very exciting affair. Battle for the race lead, though, potentially. Jan Courtois has been caught. And now Nick Schmeck is looking to the outside through turn number 7. Can the German get it done over the Frenchman? No, he can't for now. Courtois has been able to hold on just that little while longer. There's an instance further back here as we see drivers dropping down the order. Couldn't quite spot exactly who that might have been, but drama in the mid-pack back there. And, well, there might indeed be a few more problems that we're not seeing back here. Slow car, Soren Jager has had major problems here in this one as he drops himself further down the order. Of course, the drivers know that this is all to play for now. This is the last chance that they'll ever have to get themselves qualified in towards that final race of the season. So, of course, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. Of course, they're going to go for passes that potentially might not be on under normal circumstances. That's just the way of things here once you get to a final race of an entire stage of competition such as this one. On board with the rear camera of Jan Courtois, virtual drivers by CX3. Of course, you can see the differing lines being taken through the corners of the first sector here. Different approaches to the same thing. Courtois is going to be very much caught here on the way down in towards turn number 7. Schmeck will have another opportunity on the brakes. Is he going to stay in line regardless of that, though? You can see the defense being trying to be attempted by Courtois. Courtois was able to successfully defend this one last time around, and he's, well, was able to complete the deja vu moment and has got himself successfully defended for the second time of asking as well. So Nick Schmeck, 2 attempts, both of them have gone awry. We've got Rokas Debris also third partying here. He's in 3rd place there. Could get himself a nose in at any point. So that's what Nick Schmeck also has to be concerned about as well. He's a privateer in this event. No team allegiance. So therefore, can't rely on help from teammates. We've got ourselves 6 minutes of this race done and dusted already. Time does fly when you're having fun, and it seems to be a lot of action at the very front of the field. Courtois struggling somewhat, I believe, with the first sector. Schmeck seems to be the faster of the 2 cars coming through here, but it's 2 attempts on the brakes in towards turn number 7 have not gone Nick Schmeck's way already. We're right on board with him as they come towards the latter end of that first sector through that long left-hand corner of turn 5 and into the fast turn 6. This is where Schmeck really comes into his own, and look at the speed he's got already coming down the back straight. He's going to go to driver's left-hand side, the long way around once again at turn number 7, but can Schmeck do it this time around? Is it third time lucky for the driver of the number 26? Well, it is not, as Courtois holds on once again. And maybe there's starting to be a little bit of an element of frustration, perhaps, because that's 3 times now that Schmenck has attempted that move, and 3 times it has failed. Lucas Debris, well, he's watching all of this with a keen eye. He's waiting for an opportunity to open itself up. Whether or not it's the 2 drivers ahead of him making contact or forcing each other offline or something like that, Debri's job is just to try and find that gap now, find the mistake from the 2 drivers ahead of him, and slip his way through underneath. That should be the goal for Debris, as the gap just stretches out a little bit, gives us an opportunity to look at what's going on a little bit further back, as this is James Montgomery trying to defend a horde of drivers behind him. Frank Van Roon looking to go a long way around at turn number 1. That one usually does not work, at least we haven't seen it work over the course of the event here today. Winding ourselves through this first sector. I do enjoy this circuit. It seems to be very technical, and, well, I do prefer my technical circuits. The Lucas Debris, well, Schmenck has seemingly made a mistake through that first sector, because Debris has now been able to get himself up into P2. It does allow a little bit of breathing room now to Jan Courtois, as he has 0.7 of a second back to these guys. But that's a little bit worrying there from Nick Schmenck. Not entirely sure what happened. It happened away from our live pictures, so unfortunately we weren't able to see what happened with regards to Schmenck. But still in this event, of course, by any means, still very much in the thick of things. But his life has just been made that little bit harder with to be able to pull off that pass on him. At the back, though, you do have a battle developing. Not to saying this is a thing just yet, but it's one that's getting relatively close. Marius Zabda, of course, had a great, gave us a great show at Imola. Unfortunately, wasn't able to qualify inside the top 4 coming out of that event, so therefore he has to do this event as well. Jens Fielder, of course, having a fantastic race number 1, has continued to climb the order in race 2. He's up into 5th place now. And potentially a horde of cars ahead that he can potentially pass, as we get to see ourselves, well, Schmenck sending it down the inside this time. That's usually the better option coming up through turn 10, but Debris just slots in underneath, retakes the position. It must be a very difficult situation being Nick Schmenck at the moment, because every pass you're trying to make has been counted so perfectly that you just feel that you can't do anything in terms of passing another driver here at this circuit. Door-to-door action behind Christoph Nagy, squeezing himself ahead of Frank Van Roon. This is the battle for P14 on circuits. Of course, it is relatively hard to tell because of the liveries being all largely the same. Of course, I do struggle with it as well. You can see which driver we're focused on with the cameras, with the slight indent on the left-hand side. So the driver that is indented means that the camera is focused on them. So center picture is Frank Van Roon, as he tries to go carry a little bit too much speed coming out of turn 3 there, and perhaps losing a bit of time. As a result, oh no, that was a big send from Kilman, and it completely cleared out Frank Van Roon. That was, I don't really know how to describe that, to be honest. That was an obvious, I don't know if there's any malice in that one. It was front to rear contact. Certainly a weird situation. Of course, the stewards will have a look at that after the event, and, well, it has, well, we got ourselves another battle on our hands. Marius Zabda, this is Jens Fielder. I said this one was going to happen, and now it has started to show some signs of life for E4 out there. Of course, the majority of these drivers, at least in these top couple of positions, should be plain sailing until the end, or at least should be, at least in terms of points, to qualify into the final round of the season. for Jens, well, eyes on the prize. P4 is on the is an opportunity here, and let's see if he can get it done. T3 Motorsports driver, of course, in their way through the first sector now, through turn number 3, and into eventually the double right of 4. This is it here. Fielder, he needs to get that good run coming out of turn 5. That will allow you to gain the speeds, gain the run, and with the help of the slipstream, potentially make a move into turn 7. But we've seen, for example, Nick Schmeck try and pull off that move about five times already, and he's been unsuccessful in every single instance of it. Fielder, he didn't get a good run out of turn 5 that time around, so therefore the Zabda is safe, at least for another lap. Cernal's closing in on this as well, so the more that Fielder gets caught up here, the more Cernal's going to be breathing down his neck. Well, Cernal, I think Cernal will prefer to just gain at least one more position here, just to make himself safe, like incredibly safe in terms of points. Coming up to 7 minutes to go, so not a lot of time to get this done for these drivers. We know very much how quickly time can pass here in RaceRoom esports competition, especially when things are so competitive. Fielder, big look to the inside. Zabda not falling for it whatsoever. Again, important to get this run out of turn 5. You can see Cernal now. Cernal is hot on the heels of Jens Fielder. Here's the onboard with Cernal. This is going to be our race 1 winner, remember. Might be able to score himself a top 5 at the end of the day should things go his way. A big look to the inside, draws it alongside. Cernal sends it, and he makes it competitive coming off the corner as well. Not that much Fielder can do about this one, except to hope and pray he can maintain the inside for the next corner, and he cannot. Cernal, careful with the oversteer coming off the corner. Car wiggled around a little bit, but Cernal, well, he's just schooling everyone on how to make a pass through turn 7, because we've seen lots of drivers struggle with it. Cernal, the first time of asking over Fielder, has got it done. And now can set himself his sights ahead, potentially to challenge Marius Zabda at the end of this one. Lucas Debris has lost yet more time here. Remember, Hurtau is not too far ahead still. Still only 6-7 tenths of a second further down the road, so he can't be too comfortable with regards to the race lead situation. Yeah, everyone, the YouTube chat with people mentioning, yes, the stewards are watching, and well, Cernal has now cracked open the inside on Marius Zabda. So this is Cernal on an absolute charge at the moment. He's taking no prisoners. Getting himself the slipstream towards turn number 7. Is he going to do the same move on Zabda as he did on Fielder here? No, Zabda's wise to it. It forces Cernal to go the long way around potentially, but can't quite maintain the overlap. Getting the speed on the way down in towards the left-hander. Careful with the contact, boys, as Cernal sent it down and in through turn number 9. In towards turn number 10, side by side for P4 between Zabda and Cernal. Fielder stalking this one as well, but Cernal sending it down the inside. There's the response from Zabda straight back underneath as Fielder looks to get his hands sturdy now, getting himself potentially back past Cernal, but Cernal's having none of it. Maintains that P5 for now, but great defensive driving, great response from the Polish driver of Marius Zabda as well. Great racing action, great racecraft between the two of them as well. It's what you want to see. That is for certain. Couple of users mentioning Nagy. Of course, he's been able to recover up into P13 at the moment, which is a decent points haul. Whether or not that will be enough to get himself a qualification spot for that final race of the season still remains to be seen. We will try and get it to you as quickly as is possible. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do any interviews here today, but I will try to fill the time as much as possible to give you the results in terms of who is going to be racing in that final race of the season and who, unfortunately, will have to go home. As Marius Zabda, big moment of oversteer coming off the corner there, and that's Cernal gaining the position pretty easily. Zabda will try to respond here through the right-hander as Fielder sends it down the inside. Can't quite get things done through there. And now side-by-side coming off of turn number 13. On the way in towards the S's section now, or at least the S's complex at the very end of the lap. Zabda not able to hold on to the position from Fielder either. So Fielder is able to get himself through. And, well, we're in the very dying moments of the race now, aren't we? Just 2.5 minutes left remaining. We'll see what that is in terms of laps in just a couple of moments. Looking back towards the very front of the field, things have tightened up just that little bit more. Courtois' gap is not looking as healthy as it once was. And now with 2 minutes to go, what can Orchestra B do from P2 coming down the back straight here? Not quite going to be close enough to be able to send one on the brakes this time around. And in fact, he might have to be worrying a little bit more about Nick Schmenck behind, being big in his wing mirrors and all that. But again, coming into the last couple of moments of this race, we've got ourselves potentially just one more lap to go. Next time we head our way across the line. One more lap for these drivers to settle their differences. Last lap, 126.5. The Yank wants Courtois, and well, we're getting up towards 125 now. So this is going to be the confirmation that the drivers will have one more lap to qualify themselves in towards that final race of the season in the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup. Things very close indeed for the top three as they come across the line to start that final lap. Of course, situation behind Marius Zabda trying to hold on to Sebastian Ree. Sebastian Ree with a look into turn number 1. Maybe he's able to open up the inside for turn 2, but we've seen that rarely happen over the course of this event. Back towards the front of the fields though, Courtois, I think he's pretty good through sector 1 here and is able to stem the hemorrhaging of time. Back to DeB as Schmenck gets himself very close to the driver in P2 coming off of turn number 5. Now here comes the run down the back straight. It's going to be a big battle for P2 on the final lap of the race as Schmenck looks to try and go the long way around. How many times has he tried this move? This is the time where it has to matter though, as Schmenck still can't get his way by any driver through turn 7. DeB still has to be the defense on the defense here on the way through these next couple of corners because he is still very much under threat. Schmenck is basically pushing him through these corners. Courtois has been able to get away as far as the race lead is concerned. Cernal, our race 1 winner, benefiting the least, or rather being punished the worst, out of that reverse grid. He started P10, he's up into P4, might be able to get himself on the podium here through the final couple of corners here, but it's not a sequence that's conducive to that. It is Jan Courtois that takes the race win here for race number 2 at our final race of the qualification procedure for the NGK Esports Cup in a couple of weeks' time, when we'll get our final race at the Nordschleife. Further down the field, we got ourselves more finishers. Passer P9, P8, Montgomery P9, and Gerhammer rounding out the top 10. Vollering P11. Everyone else coming across the line and finishing now. There's only 2 retirements from this race. Pedro Gomez and Rasmus Salo. Those 2 are out. We'll have to see how the points work out now. We will get that as quickly as is feasibly possible once I'm told by race control. Jan Courtois takes the race win in race number 2 here today, with Rogus to be P2, Nick Schmenck rounding out the podium. Nico Schernal with a good points day. Well, I can say for certain Nico Schernal's through with a P1 and a P4, unless there's any penalty coming his way. He's definitely through. Jens Fielder P5 with Marius Zabda P6, Sebastian Ree P7, and you've got Liasse Passer. Sorry, my French pronunciation is awful. In P8 with Montgomery in P9 with Gerhammer in P10. Vollering, Rocco, Nagy, Hillman and Simi rounding out the top 15 drivers, and then you can see everyone else down to E27 out there on circuit. So that's things done here for this race, and well, for this entire qualification procedure for the NGK SPARK PLUG's ESPORTS CUP. So, as we wait with bated breath to see exactly what the situation is from race control with regards to the points in this event, we can just sort of recap everything that has happened here today. Of course, we had Cernil take the race win, Fielder P2 in race number 1. Sebastian Reed P3 in that event as well. I think the group of them should score enough points at the end of today to be able to get themselves qualified automatically into the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup final round of the season. That is going to be on the 14th of April at Nordschleife, where we will reset the points. We'll get everything started off from a clean slate, and then we'll go racing once again in that final event. We can, of course, with that situation, we've got ourselves the situation of being at the LAN venue. We've got ourselves the studio as well. It's going to be a bigger production for that final round of the season, and I hope you are able to join us for that one. Of course, as is the situation at the moment, still waiting for race control to get them, give the points basically. At this stage. I hope everyone's enjoyed. I've seen the chats on the YouTube. I assume there's going to be chats going on in the Facebook as well. It's not the primary one that I pay attention to, unfortunately. Lots of comments. Really cool to watch from Lisa Grise. Thank you very much for watching. Great commentary, Connery, but it's Fielder, not Fielder. Yeah, I mean, sometimes my pronunciation can have a bit of work. Mildusa there. I do take the tips on board, though, so thank you very much for letting me know. Someone saying Nagy fans are the best. Let's go, guys. Well, he did have a pretty decent second race there. He did claw his way somewhat up from the back of the field. So we'll see how that turns out with regards to the points for Nagy. Again, I don't have the points to hand for the moment. At least coming into this event, if I look, I do have those points coming into this event. Nagy was down, well, he had 6 points. So I think you'll have to be hoping and praying for him to be in the top 16 at the end of the day. But we will never say never. We will have to wait and see. Absolute Motorsports E3 Racing Team says, good job, guys. Yep, you guys had a fantastic day today with your drivers in very top positions. Disappointing result for Ballas Esports, though. An accident between teammates should not happen. I absolutely agree. Accidents between teammates should not happen. However, they do. And there's a lot of situations, there's not a lot that you can really do to try and avoid those situations, especially when the drivers are desperate for points, because there's no teams championship, for example. The drivers are fighting in and amongst each other for these points, so therefore there's more potential for things like that to happen. So that's just what the situation is there. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way of things sometimes in motorsports. Instagris is saying P5, P7, good job, guys, nice, well done. Yeah, it's been a fantastic event here at Nogaro. We're still waiting for the points from race control. I will let you know as soon as we are able to bring you the points for that situation. But shouldn't be too long at this point. And in fact, while we're waiting for the points to come through, I don't have the highlights for the last 2 races. However, I have the highlights from Imola, so we'll waste a little bit of time here. We'll get 4 minutes in the bag. Let's have a look at what happened at Imola if you weren't tuned in at the very start of the stream. Race number 3 of the NGK SPARK PLUG's Esports Cup is about to get itself underway here at Imola. I'm stoked for this one. I hope you are too at home as we go green here in Italy. Steph Kramer's getting off the line well. Mosen bogged down a little bit from pole position. He'll lose a lot of ground here on the way down in towards turn number 1. Kramer's trying to get himself up into the race lead. He has to go late on the brakes in towards turn number 1, but Mosen's able to respond down the inside. Mosen's overcommitted to it though, as Kramer's tries to find his way around driver's left-hand side, but he can't find any way through there. A slightly defensive line in towards Acqua Minerale. Someone spun at the back. That's Lucas Vollering. Lucas Vollering has had a spin on the exit of Acqua Minerale. See yet more fighting in towards turn 1. This is the battle for P14 behind Daniel Parvan. Of course, the Romanian trying to hold everyone behind him as Gearhammer gets the run of speed off the corner. That was a bit of an interesting one there for Parvan, losing that position. Just have to deal with it. Look at the run that Farkas has got over Philip Pau now. So Philip Pau not deciding to go defensive down in towards turn number 1. Farkas just sends it down the inside. Important to get the car stopped though. Another mistake from the Israeli driver allows the German an opportunity coming into these final couple of corners of the lap. And well, Carton slings it down the inside. Rosen getting all sorts of out of shape, and Geisler takes that move all day long. Opportunistic. And Alex Mosen will score maximum points here in race number 1 of the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup here at Imola. Of course, event number 3, the first race of it, goes Alex Mosen's way. Marius Zabda will start on the inside of the front row. And off and away we go for race number 2 of the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup here at Imola. It was a great start from pole position from Marius Zabda. He'll be able to lead down in towards turn number 1. Pierre Daniel in P2. It's as fast as possible on the way down in towards the Turavattas. There's the big send down the inside for Pierre Daniel for the race lead. Zabda's able to get back underneath him for the final turn though. Trying to hold back on Zabda. Zabda will try to send it back down the inside for the race lead. Zabda back up into P1. Farkas now in P3, looking to drive his right-hand side. Again, nothing can be done there. Oh, it's going to be a big send again from Pierre Daniel. He did that move just a lap ago, and Zabda has been, has been punished for it once again. Side by side, coming across the pit straight here. This is crazy battling for P1 here. Zabda back up into the race lead to respond to everything that's been thrown at him and maintain that race lead. Oh no, is that Ben Farkas? Oh no, it's a big cluster, big instant. Everyone has to stack up at the very front of the field due to the car spun in the middle of the circuit. Everyone continues to be stacked up. And we've got 40 minutes. No! Oh no, Philip Pau from the race lead. Philip Pau, no, you can't bottle it like that, my friend. We say, and well, Rosen going towards the inside. It allows Farkas to have an opportunity. The long way around, big bounce up over the curb for the Hungarian. So after a completely and utterly chaotic second race here in the NGK SPARK PLUG Esports Cup at Imola, it is Pierre Daniel, the driver from the Czech Republic, coming across the line to win race 2 of the day. Well, that was the situation at the end of the event just a couple of weeks ago. Here's the situation at the end of the event that we just had. So these are the points coming out of today. These are not the top 16 or the generalized points that we use to try and judge other qualifiers into the final round of the season. However, we can say that Nico Cernel, Jens Fiedler, we got Jan Courtois, and Rokas de Bie, they have all gotten themselves an automatic qualification spot into that final round of the season by finishing the top 4 there in terms of the points just from coming out of today. Sebastian Ree, of course, narrowly missing out on that one, but I think he would have scored enough points coming out of today to get himself clear and qualified through the other route of being inside the top 16 in points. Of course, good points days as well for Nick Schmenk with Marius Zabda, Zerjigama. I has the guess that the large amount of these top 10 finishes that are not the top 4 would be able to get themselves enough points to get themselves qualified in to that final race of the season. We're still waiting for word with regards to the point standings, with regards to the exact ordering of those of that other different championship, shall we say. So we'll just have to stand by for that just a handful of more moments. I hope you guys liked the highlights from the previous event. However, it was a pretty crazy race at Imola, and so, well, it was crazy at parts here at the Nogaro circuit. Certainly very fitting for our final rounds of the qualification season in this one. Remember, it is the Nordschleife for our final round, so that's going to be a different kettle of fish entirely. Of course, that's when the Nürburgring specialists tend to come out of the woodwork, the types of drivers that spend hours upon hours practicing that racing circuit in their spare time. So we'll see if there are any Nürburgring specialists in the roster that we have for that final race of the season. So we've got 4 of them from this event already. We've got Nico Schnell, we've got Jens Fiedler, and we've also got Jan Courtois and Rokas to be coming into this one as well. Of course, we can get ourselves the top 16 from the rest of the points. I won't have a graphic to show you with regards to this one. However, I will say their names. So if you're a driver watching this stream after this event, this should mean that you're top 16 in points generally. So it's the drivers of Yuval Rosen. We've got Pierre Daniel. We've got Sven Svarkes. Sebastian Ree has already gone. He finished, got 50 points out of this one, so should be fine. Nico Cernal, of course, he automatically qualified from this event, so he's automatically through. So that does extend now. So Julian Kunze is going to be able to get himself through. So these are the drivers that are through, at least from the top 16 in points, that are not including drivers that have gone through from the top 4. So Yuval Rosen, Per Daniel, Ben Svarkes, Sebastian Ree, Marius Zabda. Rokas de Vries already qualified. We got Enzo Filipao, Jan Courtois. Courtois is already qualified. Lucas Vollering, Nick Schmenk, Jens Fiedler. He's already qualified as well. Bo Dixon, Frederick Gehammer. We've got Ville Krevi, Mikael Lapanek. And I would hazard a guess that due to the fact that we've had a handful of drivers go through already from this event, that Julian Kunze, Fab Passer, and Rasmus Salo, potentially even Royce Rocco, might be able to get themselves through into the qualification for the, or rather their slot into the next season. So we will get confirmation of that. Of course, pay attention to the. I do have this scene, by the way. Hello. We will get confirmation from Race Control and, of course, on the RaceRoom social media of exactly who is the top 32 through into the next into the final round of the season. So certainly stay posted for that. But that's going to be all that I have time here here in at least this qualification process for the final round. I of course will be commenting on that final round of the season live at the Munich studio that RaceRoom have. So that's going to be an exciting prospect for me. But at least for you, the exciting prospect is going to be a fantastic final event at the Nürburgring. My name has been Connery Maddock, and I'll see you then.